Hello, televiewers. Good evening and welcome to Prime on My Media Prime. Once again, I always say we are sorry. The traffic situation in the town of Wahla is really very, very difficult with the ongoing works with respects to Cameroon's hosting of the Shan competition. Most of our major routes are under construction, so it makes it very difficult for most of our panelists to make it into the studios of My Media Prime. But we are here with our guest who was announced to be part of the program this evening. Madam Edith Wahla is here with us. She is the national president of the CPP party, also coordinator of the Stand Up for Cameroon movement. Madam, good evening.
Good evening. Happy New Year, because I think it's the first time this year that I'm coming on the program. Happy New Year to all of the viewers out there. Also, of course, our very deep condolences, because we have unfortunately started off the new year once again with a lot of violence, a lot of killing
across the northwest and southwest
across
regions,
the northwest and southwest, but also across the extreme north region. And a lot of Cameroonian families are in deep sorrow. So our condolences.
Drowned in one of the rivers, I'm sure in the center region recently. Yeah,
I did not get that, but I am certain that we are going to see more of that. The problem of flooding, the problem of landslides. We have a big global problem of climate change, and of course, it is affecting us also in many ways.
Okay, we are going to start with the need for mobilization for an end to the war in the southwest and northwest region. Are Cameroonians across the board scared to come out and advocate openly that we want an end to this war?
I think no, we cannot be scared. We cannot be scared
Madam Wahla is not scared, but we don't see Cameroonians joining her.
We cannot be scared. I think that many Cameroonians, unfortunately, it takes a lot of time for people to come to an understanding of certain things. From the beginning of this crisis, as you know, some of us said, this direction the government is going, we better come out and protest right now for it not to take that direction. But ordinary citizens have a tendency to feel that, no, I mean, I think the government must know what it's doing.
It's an affair for politicians.
Somehow, yes. And I think that it is now that the numbers are getting so high that the violence is continuous. It is non-stop. I mean, we here in the news and on platforms, we talk when there's a killing. We talk when there's a massacre, like there has been in the last couple of days. But it is every day that people are hiding, coming here. I was just talking to one of my cousins in Bali, and she was explaining to me that yesterday in church, they had to go on the ground in church because of the gunshots. So for the people who are in those regions, it has really become unbearable. And I think those of us in the other regions, we are really beginning to realize what it means. And one of the things that we want to say is that the hashtag End Anglophone Crisis, which young Anglophones, it's very important to note that it is young Anglophones who came up with that hashtag towards October, November last year, and reached out to some of us and said, look, can you help to make this hashtag trend?
Following what happened in Kumba?
It was the hashtag was actually came out before Kumba. Kumba gave it that that push, but it came out before, and we want to say now the hashtag is established. I'm happy to see people are still posting with that hashtag. We need to continue to still post. However, we need to talk about next steps. In addition to our hashtag, what do we do? And I'm happy to announce that by next week, we will be having meetings with various groups who have been involved in promoting this, so that we determine what are the next actions to take. And the actions will be non-violent, but they will require, as you are mentioning, that people take action. We can no longer just sit. We can no longer just
assume that a divine solution comes from heaven.
Yes, Mr. Kungu, remember, I think it was here, we had a panel, and people were trying to tell me that the international community is going to solve this problem. And I told them that no, nobody solves your problem but yourself. The international community may come and give a push. The international community may come and help, but they have not solved Syria. They have not solved Palestine. They have not solved South Sudan. It is not us who are so exceptional. So we must take responsibility ourselves for the solution of this problem.
But do you have the impression, it is true you say the hashtag is there, the hashtag is on social media.
Yes.
Yes, but we don't see Cameroonians across the board. Because what do you say, most of the hashtags, if you were to go to social media to find out those who are talking, they're mostly Anglophones here. I'm talking about getting the issue
across the board.
Yes.
Yes. Actually, for hashtag End Anglophone Crisis, you will realize that one of the successes of that hashtag is that it has gone across the board.
Okay.
It is driven by young Anglophones, as it should be. I think it is perfectly fine for young Anglophones to be in the leadership of this. But I can say with confidence that a lot of Francophones picked it up, and that you see a lot of Francophones up to today posting with the hashtag. But we must do more. The hashtag alone for this kind of crisis is not enough. You know, some people, because we had some success last year with hashtag End Phone Tax, if you remember.
Yeah. We succeeded caused the presidency to
put a stop to this tax. So some people were feeling like, okay, all we need to do is tweet hashtag End Anglophone Crisis. But the Anglophone crisis is much more complex. It is much more entrenched, and we have to do more. Congratulations to all those who have been posting. It's great to post, but we need now the additional steps.
You need additional steps. Okay, you want a coalition to a force that will pressure not only the government but the other side to see need to end the Anglophone crisis. But what do you make of the Anglophone elites themselves? Should it not start with the Anglophone elites? You are an elite from the southwestern northwest region. Yes. Should it not start with you people?
I think that first.
Yeah.
You have to realize that I am of the Cameroon People's Party. We don't even like the idea of an elite, because this is a CPDM conception of the world, that there is some special little group of people who know better than the other people, who should decide for everybody, who should keep all the resources for themselves. I think a fundamental problem in Cameroon, that we are suffering from
is that concept of elite?
Is elite capture.
Okay.
The elites have captured everything. Everything is for them. The jobs are for them. The land is for them. The businesses are for them. The positions are for them. They have captured the state. The state is completely captured by elites from across the country. And I put the elites very much in quotes, because I believe in the English language, when you say elite, it is somebody that has distinguished themselves for excellence.
Yeah.
These people who have captured our state and who have captured our resources are anything but excellent. They are quite mediocre in competence. They are quite mediocre in their ability to solve any problem. It is completely a notion which at the Cameroon People's Party we disagree with. I think that the people we are reaching out to are the women who are selling in the market,
okay,
are the young people who do not have jobs, the young people who have all had to flee. As I told you, I was speaking to my family members on my way here in the car, and there are no young people in the village. My cousin was telling me, I can't do this, I can't do that, I can't do this, because
remember,
there are no young people.
We can vividly go back to the videos of the old mothers who were burying persons in Boyo division. Exactly. It also happened in Womb. But when you say the elites, you are raising or putting a question mark on the elites, do you think they are the fundamental problem to a resolution to what is happening in the southwest and northwest regions? The
CPDM elites, yes.
Okay.
Unquestionably. I think it is a very, very sad. It's very, very sad. As you know, I'm not a CPDM fan. I have never been.
Okay.
But I would have liked to think that there was a limit to their level of greed, their level of looking out only for themselves, and so on. I would have loved to see a limit to that, and to know that, no, there are certain principles, there are certain values that we all share. But what we have discovered in this crisis is that the Anglophone CPDM elites are willing to sell out the entire population. They are the ones in Yaoundé saying that there's no problem. I had a 3-hour meeting with Minister Atanganji, who told us that there's no problem. Not too long ago, about right before the Kumba massacre, the day before the Kumba massacre, when we were meeting.
He was already Minister of Territorial Administration.
The Kumba massacre just a few days ago, in November, and he was telling us that there's no Anglophone problem. This is what he said in 2016, which triggered the violence, and this is what he's still saying 5 years later. And he's not alone. You have a good number of Anglophone elites in Yaoundé who hold that kind of language.
Okay, Chisap, good evening to you, and to you, Jack Shilgo. Sun State, good evening to you, and also to you, Dr. Ako John Ako, who is following the program. Apostle Ambe Valentine, good evening to you. Led Love Lit, good evening to you. Smith Bright, good evening to you. Melin Jamia, good evening to you. Deaconess Ngi, who should be watching us either from the UK or in America, good evening to you. Tuva Robbins, good evening. Bunwe Riden, good evening to you. Petitala, good evening. And Petitala, I don't know whether you're the one watching from Ukraine. And to you, Brandonil Askar, good evening to all of you. You see the political elite, Anglophone political elite, will not want this. But what about the political class? We have not seen a political class that is uniform towards ending this crisis. Professor Maurice Kamto wants it his way. The SDF says their own. Stand Up for Cameroon, maybe speaking another language. Why is there no synergy in the move from the opposition camp towards wanting an end to the crisis?
I want to... I think, Mr. Kum, that to be fair, I think that to be fair, you should outline that Stand Up for Cameroon had a position from the beginning of the crisis, which has ended up being the position that all of our other political colleagues have finally arrived at.
That's why we did not go for the presidential.
That is why we did not go for presidential elections. We said, in fact, we met with the others and we said, let us come together because this regime wants to hold elections. They very badly wanted to hold those 2018 elections. And we said, let us put conditionalities on the table before the elections, notably the end to the Anglophone crisis. At that time, some of our colleagues, you have mentioned them, they so badly wanted to go for the election that they were not ready to listen to anything. We are quite happy today to see that almost all the political actors have come to the position that we must solve this crisis. We must at least end the violence before we are talking about any other kind of election or action. However, as you have mentioned, this has been done in such a fragmented manner, and also it looks like people were looking out for their own interests, because when it suited them to go for these elections, they did so.
When they thought they would take power.
Well, either power or keep their parliamentary seat or whatever. And now their position is not as convincing as it could be to the population. But we are happy that people have come to this position. And I say at this point to the Anglophone population especially, but to Cameroonians in general, don't wait. Don't wait for this regime. Don't wait for Anglophone elites. Don't wait for political leaders. They are not dying. The population is dying. Okay. So it is that population that has to come out to say stop, to say we can no longer stand for this. We cannot continue. We have accepted things which are completely unacceptable. We have children. I mean, nobody today knows how many children have we lost from the school system completely, because so many children
who may never come back there.
They won't come back. How many children have we lost? How many we have a group called Mothers of the Nation, which is mainly women, and every single day, every week, they are reporting to us about child pregnancy. They are reporting to us about rape. They are reporting to us about violence against girls and women because of this situation. So, how many young women have completely lost hope?
I had a discussion with
in their life.
I had a discussion with a friend in Kumba this evening, who told me that they were coming back from work on a bike. Yes, two ladies. They were going and they were stopped by unidentified men who stopped them and interviewed them, and then took the bike man to go and drop them somewhere, and then later came back, took the other lady to where she does not know, and we can only imagine what might have happened to her, and that's the situation out there. But you talk about political elites. We have representatives from the southwest and northwest regions. I'm talking about MPs and senators. Are you talking with them? Are you pricking their consciences that this is happening? Should you guys not also join our fight to pressure government to end this, and also talk to our brothers and sisters, because those who are holding guns are not from space now. They are our brothers and sisters. Yes, are you also talking to them to engage them?
I'll start with the MPs and elected officials. Are we talking to them at this stage? No.
Okay.
We were talking to them in 2016, 2017,
before the election,
because we felt that there was the possibility of them doing something. I think they have demonstrated to us that they like those MP seats more than the lives of the population which they are supposed to represent. And let us not forget that if they had been doing their job, there would have been no crisis. One of the reasons why we have this crisis is because these elites have been representing nobody but themselves in the national institutions. So no, at this stage in time, we have very little focus on them. Of course, we will always keep the door open. If there's a possibility to talk to a senator, to talk to a parliamentarian, and so on.
By you reaching out to them?
We are firm believers in discussion. But no, they are not our focus. Our focus right now is the population itself.
Yeah.
It is the population itself, not so much in the affected regions, because those people are victims. They are traumatized. They are just trying to survive. Our focus is the Cameroonians in the other regions who have to wake up and stand up for this crisis. It is those of us who are living in Douala, in Yaoundé, in the other parts of the country, who have to stand up and say this crisis must come to an end.
Okay. Please, if you're watching us from any part of the world, just send us. If you think that you have a question for Madam Edith Kawala, just send it to us. We are going to put a question across to her. I'm sure she's ready to answer those questions.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I'm always ready for that when I come here.
Okay. Madam Edith, we saw women come out after the Kumba massacre.
Yes.
Civil society. We have seen what happened in Momo Division, where my classmate there, because the Momo Divisional Delegate of Communication, we did journalism together in the University of Boya. So she is a classmate and a colleague. But we've seen also military guys who fell in Santa and civilians. We've seen what happened in Dian Division, where an estate manager was killed,
yes,
and then the hands of some laborers chopped off. We saw what happened on Sunday in Mautu. Yes, but we've not heard the women. What's happening? Are they only waiting for when it's strictly children or women for them to cry out?
No, I think that
talk about the mothers of the
nation. Yes, no, we are not waiting. Of course not. Of course not. We are the reflection that we have had. There was, of course, the suggestion that the women should come out, and the question that many women ask is that, okay, we come out and then what? We came out for Ngarbu. We came out for Kumba. We are not seeing any change.
Yes, but you could change strategy.
And that is why I am telling you that we had already planned before these killings to meet, to be able to redefine our strategy, to change our strategy, to look at, how we can actually mobilize, because the question is critical mass. It's a question of numbers. So far, we are very proud of the people who stand up every Friday. They are standing up in black, who come out when there is Ngabu, who come out when there is Kumba. However, we need more people. We need to come out not in 1,000, 2,000, 3,000. We need to come out in 20,000, 50,000, 100,000 to communicate to government. You heard the speech of the head of state on the 31st of December. Government has not heard us. They have not understood. We are speaking, we are demonstrating, and they keep repeating the same thing that they've been repeating since the beginning of this crisis. So we must speak much more loudly. We must speak differently. We must speak strongly for them to understand that we mean business.
Yeah, but Madam Kawala, are you only supposed to talk to government? Are you not also talking to the other side? Because when we saw what happened in Dian Division, that was not done by government. We saw government troops, and my friend,
colleague,
my classmate who was killed. That was not done by government. What happened in Matazan was not. Are you not also talking to the other side?
As far as the armed groups are concerned, I think the position of Standup for Cameroon from day one. We have always felt that, yes, there is an Anglophone problem. Yes, we must stand up for Anglophone rights. No, we must not do so with violence. Whatever is the case, we must not pick up guns and start to commit acts of violence, not only against the government, but against our own population, the people we say we are fighting for. We are, because you are just describing, as I say, you are describing the highlights. What is the life of the population in those regions
like
today?
I just told you,
at any
what was explained to me this evening.
Exactly. At any point in time, you are stopped. You are asked to pay tax to finance the effort. At any point in time, you have a business. You are told that to run your business, you must give money to so and so. So we have created a situation where the population is under terror. They are afraid. It is, I think, one of the saddest things to me, because our Anglophone population has always been a very proud, strong population. But today, people cower in fear.
They are helpless.
They don't know, they cannot turn neither to the right nor to the left. And that is why it's important that it is those of us in the rest of the country. Yes, they too must come out, but those of us in the rest of the country must stand up and put an end to this. So the armed groups are not our focus, because we differed with them on strategy from day one.
The focus is the government.
We have asked them several times to put down arms, and I will ask them anytime today, please put down your arms and let us solve this problem in a non-violent manner. However, I want to really insist on this, because people want to put government and armed groups in a balance. The two are not in a balance, not at all. The government of Cameroon is responsible for your well-being and my well-being. It is even responsible for the well-being of those armed groups. That is a government. A government is paid by you and I every time we buy a bottle of water, a bottle of beer, and so on. We are paying taxes which go to finance this government to ensure our security. I've never given 5 francs to an armed group. I've never had any, they don't owe me anything, but government owes me. And government is responsible for the security of the state. If you read our constitutions, it is one of their foremost responsibilities.
That of the president, the president of the republic.
And when there is an armed insurrection, it is government to put, the onus is on government. It is government to call for ceasefire. Government has never called for ceasefire. It is government to install a process of dialogue, all of the things that we have been talking about.
But the government will tell you that there was a major national dialogue last year now.
There was not. Let's not kid ourselves. I mean, we can either feel that we are serious about these people who are dying and tell ourselves the truth, or we can continue to pretend, and I don't know whom we are pretending to or who we are pretending for. What happened in Yaoundé in 2019 was a what do you call it?
Major national dialogue.
No, it was a CPDM conversation. It was a discussion among CPDM people, and then they invited a few guests. That's all that it was. 80 to 90% of the people who were there were from the ruling party.
Okay.
You and I cannot have a problem. Then I call my family members to discuss the problem. You are not even present.
Okay. Good evening to you, Brandolin Aska, and to you, Porter J. Hans Abi. Good evening to you, and to you, Willie Eko, Mbunwe Riden. Good evening to you, Nju Elvis, and to you, Mbungong Valerie Tamba, and to you, Boris Ngo. We are glad to know that you are following the program on social media. I will take some messages from those who are watching us live from their homes. So I don't know whether there are some questions for Madame Ka. This one says, good evening, Mr. Leo. I thank my Media Prime for give me hope that television can still make Cameroonians know the truth. What I have for Madame Ka is that what happened when she had all it takes to put for the Anglophone Southern Cameroon case when she went to overseas. Wabatum is writing from womb. Good evening to you, Wabatum. I'm sure Madame Ka is going to answer you. Yes. She did that. Good evening, Mr. Leonard. Good evening to Madame Edith Ka Wahla. There is a mountain of evidence that Cameroon government does not want to solve the crisis in Cameroon. Debate upon debate won't change anything in Cameroon. The government enjoys a lot of pleasure as we sit and explain all sorts of ideas to bring change in Cameroon, which is the exact position that we want. They want us to be until Cameroonians wake up of their slumber. Nothing will change. Raymond is writing from the United Arab Emirates. Good evening, all of you in the studio, and especially to you, Mr. Leo, for always keeping Cameroonians on alert through this wonderful program. I am Celestine Wanyu Nsafon, writing from Yaoundé. This regime is succeeding in this system because the key actors have understood the weaknesses of Cameroonians, which is fear, disunity amongst the opposition parties, and the self-interest of some opposition party leaders. Most of the opposition party leaders have been calling on the president to call for a ceasefire, release detainees, grant amnesty to exiled Cameroonians. All these calls have turned out to be a mockery. Okay, the message is too long. I can't take all the message. Good evening, Mr. Liu. It's Bob Gar from Bali. Please help me ask Madam Kawala if she had any opportunity to talk to the Fund of Bali about this crisis, because they are the ones of the people stand firmly. The fears is no Anglophone problem. I don't know what your message is not clear, but I'm sure Madam Ka has been talking to the Fund of Bali. She's going to tell us. Greetings, Madam, in the studio. Your points are direct. Please, if these boys drop down their weapons, will they be safe? Can you guarantee their lives? This one says, I'm watching, sir. Good evening, sir. Okay, good evening to you too. Reverend Collins say, good evening, Mr. Liu. Happy New Year. This question goes to Madam Edith. What are the ways or means to stop this ugly situation going on in Southwest and Northwest regions? How possible will all these killings and torture end in the country for 5 years now? This one says, my brother asks Madam, they have been going out for protests for long. What changed? Bisong is writing from Boya. Our writing from Bamenda says, hello, good evening, sir. Your panelist today is one of those who keep me glued to my screens each time I see her. Madam Kawala, continue to stand up for Cameroon. I must also remark that I'm seeing you today for the first time without a headscarf. Okay, yes. I did not even notice that, Madam. Okay, Tabot Makaveli, writing from Yaoundé, says, greetings to everyone. Stand up for Cameroon under Madam Kawala. Breached the deal with CRM party of Professor Maurice Kamto, who was to take place on the 22nd of September. Okay, I'm sure Madam Kawala was here to explain the reasons. Tabot Makaveli, the messages are so many.
Yes. So let me take a few of the questions.
Yes.
As a good Bali woman, my name is Kaabang, so I am I'm definitely have a bit of Bali blood in me, even though I have
Bafo blood.
Bafo, my mother is Bafo. I am actually, if you follow my patrilineage, I am Pinin.
Okay.
Yes, I am Pinin.
Pinin, Bali, Bafo.
Pinin, Bafutu, Bali, and Bafo.
Okay.
I have all of those in me. But with regard to the discussion with the Fund of Bali, as you know, our funds in the Northwest Province as a whole have put themselves, because I think people have to take personal responsibility. They have put themselves in a very difficult situation. And one of the reasons why we did not want funds to get into partisan politics, to start belonging to a political party, is for them to remain people who could broker peace, who could be able to mediate in this kind of situation. Now, when a fund belongs to a political party and is adhering to that political party, they lose their ability to be somebody neutral, to be able to negotiate or to be able to mediate in a conflict, and they become a partisan actor. Unfortunately, Bali is one of the villages that has suffered from this greatly, because the fund is perceived as being part and parcel of the government, because he is a member of the CPDM party and a senator and so on. So that puts him in a very difficult position. He's one of those funds, like so many others in the Northwest, who cannot even go to their villages any longer. And this weakens, of course, their position and their ability to negotiate. We do meet with the funds when we go to Yaoundé, because most of them are in Yaoundé, to try to convince them that we have to carry out some kind of non-violent action. So far, the discussions have not yielded actual action. Very often we are in agreement on many things, but when we come out and say, okay, now how do we act? you find that there is quite a bit of hesitation on their part. Yes.
Okay, the hands are tight. Madam Kawala
yes,
has chosen to provide an answer to the brother. They say charity begins at home, because many persons have answered the question.
Yes.
You decided to answer the question that pertains to Bali.
To Bali. Well, it's very important. He is my friend. I am somebody who I still acknowledge traditional authority. I don't agree with his position with regard to this crisis, but if he comes in, I will greet him as my friend.
Okay.
Before I put my problem, before I put my problem before him.
Okay.
I want to answer one more question. There was somebody who asked about the advocacy we did at the level of the United Nations, especially. Yes. So I want to confirm that we have done advocacy not only at the level of the United Nations. We have done advocacy at the UN on more than one occasion. We have done advocacy with US elected officials. We have done advocacy with German elected officials. We do advocacy regularly here in Cameroon with the ambassadors here in Yaoundé. Here is the thing. I think those who had the stance for independence, unfortunately, they lied to the population at the beginning of this crisis.
Okay.
Because they gave the population the impression that it just sufficed to say we want independence and to march to Boya as as was the order, and then the independence would come. There were even lies told about how the UN was already in Ambas Bay, the UN was going to do this, the UN was going to do that. This is simply not how international relations work. A lot of people do not realize what is this thing that we call United Nations. It is literally nations, that is states, that are united. So who is a member of the United Nations? The government of Cameroon. The Biya regime right now is the person who represents us in New York. And I can tell you, for example, that at the time we were negotiating for the area meeting, I think you remember the area meeting, it was a fight. It was almost a physical fight to get that meeting. And the government of Cameroon was busy. As we were knocking on doors asking for the meeting, they were busy knocking on doors telling people that they did not want that meeting. As you could see, because I think even up to now you can see that video online, they have the right to speak in that meeting, much more so. Of course, there were testimonies given by NGOs and so on and so forth. But
reach out.
But as a state, a member state, they have the right to talk there in ways that you and I cannot. And the geopolitics of Cameroon is this. Cameroon today, and has always been, a key country in Central Africa. We are the biggest country in CEMAC. We are the most important economy in CEMAC. Meaning what? Everybody who has an eye on Central Africa wants to be in the good graces of Cameroon. What does that mean? Who is on the seat right now? It is Mr. Biya. So, people like Russia, like China, who are selling arms to the government in this crisis, and who are permanent members of the Security Council, will not allow this agenda to go forward. People like France, who dance, today they are playing this way, tomorrow they are playing the other way, and so on, are people who, on the day of the meeting, you may find that they have decided that today we are siding with the government. People, you can have people like the US, but even the US hedges its bets.
Yeah, but we saw the U.S. Undersecretary for African Affairs, who said clearly that the United States respect the territorial integrity of Cameroon, and the UK also. Let us be
clear on that. There is no country, not one, who is interested in anything called secession. there is no country who is interested in the independence agenda. When we go to these countries, we are talking about Anglophone rights within Cameroon. We are talking about the need for Anglophones to be able to live as first-class citizens like everybody else within the country called Cameroon.
Yeah.
And people need to also be clear about this in geopolitics. Almost every country will be against you when it comes to secession. Why? Because in most countries, you have one group or the other who is also agitating
even in France,
for secession. Of course, in France, you have the Corsicans who for years.
In Spain,
you have in Nigeria, a lot of people expected Nigeria to side with the Anglophones just because they speak English. That is not how geopolitics works. Nigeria looks at the movement for Igbo independence, which it has, and it says, if I agree to this for this other man, then people will also agree to it for me. So you find that most nations are against secession most of the time, and none of the major world powers has ever given any kind of credence to that independence agenda. They are willing to listen to us when we talk about Anglophone rights. They are willing to listen to us when we say that we need more autonomy at the local, regional level for all Cameroonians, not just Anglophones. They are willing to listen to us when we complain about the different elements of discrimination that the Anglophone population is listening to, is subject to. But independence, they are not willing to talk to us.
Madanka, is the international community not also playing a game? Because if you say that they are not interested in an independence agenda, but at least they should push harder for an end to the crisis. We hear day in, day out of condemnations, because I'm sure after Mautu, we saw what France said. After Ngabru, we saw what almost everybody said.
Every country.
After Muyuka, we saw what everybody's saying. But should we content ourselves with receiving condemnations and recommendations from the international community?
Here is, I think the international community can and should do more. But here is the trigger.
Okay.
What is it that enables them to do more? We as Cameroonians, I've mentioned trips to the UN. I've been to the UN where somebody has looked at me and said, Madam Kawala, we know you very well. You have been coming here for 10 years talking to us about the rights of Cameroonians and so on. But where are those Cameroonians? We don't see them demonstrating. We don't see them on the streets. We don't see them. They say, you're
talking for yourself.
You've been doing Friday in black. We don't even see them just wearing black on Friday. So these people that you are talking about, do they really feel the problem the way that you are describing it?
Yeah.
So Cameroonians must realize it is, in Pidgin, what do we say? And if you cry or die, pass you yourself, right? So you cannot expect people who have concerns of their own. Every country is managing its own problems. Every region is managing its own problems. You cannot expect them to reach in to solve the Cameroonian problem while Cameroonians have their hands folded and they are watching. So we must realize that every fight, those countries that we run to the United States, we run to South Africa. How long did South Africa fight for apartheid? Because some people tell me that, oh, madam, we are tired. 5 years and you are tired? You cannot be tired to fight for your life, for your freedom. You are running to South Africa. How long did South Africans fight? South Africans fought for over 100 years so that you as a black person could be comfortable today in South Africa. You run to the US. How long did African Americans fight so that you today, and continue fighting till today, so that you as a black person could be comfortable in the United States? We must realize that this fight is our fight, and we have to be the ones at the forefront of it. When we demonstrate, believe you me, if you have 100,000 people on the streets of Yaoundé demanding an Anglophone crisis, you will not be looking for the US or France, or they will be calling you.
So the solution lies in Cameroonians?
The solution lies with us.
Okay.
And in our ability to take non-violent action.
Okay. Recently, you have been leading a campaign to free all arrested. Yes. What is the motivation behind this?
As we started off the year, you know, the prisoners can get forgotten.
Okay.
We go on our daily lives, and we can get to a point where we forget that there are people in prison who have been there for many years and who are there unjustly and illegally.
Okay.
So we decided in the beginning of this year two motivations. One is that tomorrow, the 15th of January, we will be commemorating the 50th anniversary of the death of Ernest Wanji. This is a Cameroonian nationalist, freedom fighter, who was also a political prisoner.
Yeah.
So we thought in this month of January, throughout this month, let us remind Cameroonians that there are people who stood up for all of our rights. When they stood up, it wasn't for their individual rights, it was for all of us, and they are still in prison today. You have, let me start with the most recent. You have people who were arrested on the 22nd of September for the march. They were marching peacefully. We did not see any of them break a chair or a table or a window somewhere, and they are in prison today, including 4 members of Standup for Cameroon who were arrested on the 18th of September, 4 days before the march. They are still in New Bell as we speak. We visited them on Saturday, and those young men are there. Then you have over about 135 CRM militants who are still in prison as we speak. Then, now let's move from there to those of the Anglophone crisis. Many people do not realize arrests are continuing till today.
Okay.
In the context of the Anglophone crisis.
I'm coming right back to you. Let's take a short break. Wait a second. We're coming right back. You're watching Prime on My Media Prime. Madam, you said as we speak, arrests are ongoing?
Arrests are still going on in the context of the Anglophone crisis. I can tell you that right before Christmas, it was brought to our attention the case of 2 Anglophone teachers here in Douala who were arrested in front of their school, taken to the judiciary police here, and then carted off in the night to Yaoundé. Mr. John Sama Moses was missing. His family could not even identify where he was. So that was a case we had to get on it. I eventually had to go to Yaoundé myself simply to try to locate this gentleman. And luckily enough, we did that and we were able to locate him. But he spent 43 days in the hands of the Cameroonian judiciary system without anybody knowing where he was. He underwent torture. He underwent inhumane treatment. So this is still going on. This is in addition to the hundreds. Today, we no longer pronounce so much the name of BBC Mancho. In 2 days' time, on the 17th of January, in 3 days' time, is going to make them 4 years. 4 years that they have been in Kondengi. There was somebody who asked a question. Can we guarantee the safety of the young men who put down their arms? there is a program called DDR where these young men can go, demobilize, as we say, and they reintegrate the society. They put down their arms and they reintegrate the society. Unfortunately, those who may have committed crimes because they have guns, so they maybe did a kidnapping, maybe they terrorized the population, maybe they even killed somebody, those people can go, put down their arms, and be reintegrated into society. Meanwhile, the non-violent prisoners who exactly. And you see, this is where this government is totally incoherent. It does not make sense. Why are you still keeping people in jail who never committed an act of violence? There was no violence even at that time. You cannot even accuse them because there was no gun anywhere at that time. So why are you maintaining them in prison while you have a DDR program for those who may have committed a violent act? So we wanted to remind them. And the third group of prisoners that we want to always remind about are those who are victims in the fight against Boko Haram. Mm-hmm. In the fight against Boko Haram, many things which we see in the Anglophone regions were happening at that time. The army would come in, maybe Boko Haram attacked somewhere in this neighborhood, they would come in, cover the whole neighborhood, arrest everybody in the neighborhood, take to jail. Some of those people are still in prison as we speak. Remember the young Anglophone boys, there are 3 of them, Ivo Fomuso, who sent an SMS as a joke to his friend and saying something about Boko Haram recruitment. Ivo is still in jail as we speak. He's in jail for sending an SMS. Those 3 young men, they went in as minors. Some of them are already they are already adults in the prison. So we wanted in this January, as we start up the year, to remind all of us about those people who are in prison. But also you must know that when we are carrying out a communication campaign, we are carrying out action on the ground. So we are going to meet. We are one of the groups in Stand Up for Cameroon. We go and meet ministers. We go and meet government officials to put our demands in front of them and to ask them, why is this still continuing? To put as much pressure as we can to get people released.
Okay, to get people released, you mentioned in the beginning about NS Wanje.
Yes.
What is the message you're passing out there? And he is a fallen hero.
Yes.
Are you celebrating other fallen heroes?
Always. I think Stand Up for Cameroon, we believe very much that the work we are doing today is only a continuation of what those who came before us did. If they had not stood, we would not be able to stand today. So we must always remember them. We must always take a look what we will be doing tomorrow at the UPC Manidem headquarters here in Douala, at the grave site of NS Wanje in Bafoussam. We will be there. We will take some time to think about his life. What motivated this man, who was a teacher at the time? That was an elite profession. What motivated him to, first of all, join the teachers union, then join the political party, and go as far as giving his life? NS Wanje was assassinated by the government of Cameroon. He was shot to death. He was sentenced and he died by firing squad. And he did so proudly in the name of fighting for a true independence for Cameroon. So at this time, as we are looking for courage, there was somebody there who sent a message, and he's right on point when he said, the enemy today is not the BR regime. It is the fear that they have been able to instill in us. And it is that fear that we must overcome. It is it is reasonable to be afraid. Me, I always, because people always call me Madam Courage. You have so much courage, Madam. It does not mean that I would be stupid if I see a man with a gun and then I have no gun and I'm not I'm not afraid. But we think that by training ourselves in techniques of non-violent action, by carrying out small actions, by getting into the habit of confronting this regime, we build up the courage that we need to go large scale.
Madam, is it a reminder that the Cameroon government and Cameroonians as a whole should not only celebrate Ernest Wanje, but other great Cameroonian heroes who have fought for this nation, in the likes of, we have Ndeli, we have Foncha, we have so many of them.
Absolutely. I think that one of the tragedies of our country is that our history is not taught, especially our political history. People want to hide that political history, and they don't want to talk about it at all. I think that we should learn the true history, and I say the true history because unfortunately in the last 5 years, we have also had a lot of versions of history which are
politicized,
completely incorrect. Completely incorrect. People are twisting the story one way or the other for their own agenda. I think that we need to look at this history. We need to look at the lives of these people. What motivated Ndeli? Why? What motivated Joa? What kind of prime minister was he? What motivated Foncha? What kind of vice president, prime minister, vice president,
under what circumstances
was he?
Did they resign?
Exactly. And also for me, I'm a woman. I question these men. They are not perfect men. First of all, my question is, where were the women? How come they decided to do this thing all on their own? That is always a mistake.
Okay.
Secondly, is that they were not perfect. There is no perfect man, so they were not perfect men. They did some things right. They also did some things wrong, including Wanje that we are celebrating tomorrow. We should learn from what they did well, but we should also learn from their mistakes, from the things that they did wrong. So learning from history is always positive for a society. And for Stand Up for Cameroon, when we always talk about political transition, you realize that we always say we must confront our history.
Okay.
We must go and look at that history and see what was good, what was bad. There's no people that has a perfect history. We must look at what worked, what didn't work, and on the basis of that, you decide what am I building for the future.
Yes, Madam Carr. Now, it is a campaign. You are on a campaign. I've seen the pictures of Mamadou Mota, the pictures of you cited BBC Mancho, and a host of others.
Conrad. Yes.
What are the activities that are accompanying this campaign?
Okay, great. So there's the communication campaign. We have a campaign. We are right now compiling a human rights report. We have realized, and there I appeal to all of those who are watching, because we have realized that the approach has been piecemeal.
Okay.
You know, once in a while we get up, we talk about this case, we talk about that case. But if I ask you today that where do I go if I want to see all of the cases that have happened in Cameroon, if I want to see all of the prisoners, where do I go? So we have started working systematically, and there it is not just Stand Up for Cameroon. We are reaching out to all of the human rights defenders in the country, so that we compile together the information, and we will begin to do a monthly report.
Okay.
And that monthly report now is a tool for us to go for advocacy. Okay. Because you will be surprised that sometimes we are in front of government ministers who say, "Oh, madam, I'm surprised by what you are telling me." you know.
It never happened.
Yeah, either they say it doesn't happen or that, am I sure, and so on. So it is important for us to document these facts, to give them the report, so that nobody can be telling you, I didn't know, I was not aware, and so on and so forth. To give, it is a tool for advocacy and for pressure. So before the end of this month, you will see us having compiled. We will do it gradually, so we will not have finished by the end of this month, but what we have, we will present to you, the media. We will then use it for advocacy here at the national level with our own government and with the international community.
How do you intend to get the campaigns efficient? By what you just said, but can you also understand the silence, not only of the government but the Cameroonian population, to the great things that persons like NS Wanji have done, the likes of Amadou Ahidjo? When you go in the quarters, everybody speaks good of what Amadou Ahidjo did. They reference John Wood Foncha, they reference others, but seemingly nobody has the courage to wanting to celebrate them the way you are planning to do.
You know, in a normal functioning country, you know, we are so dysfunctional. The state of Cameroon is so dysfunctional that we begin to sort of look lost on many issues. Who celebrates national heroes? It's the government. It is the government, first and foremost, who, if you go on tomorrow, as we will be celebrating Wanje, the United States of America will be celebrating Martin Luther King. But the government of the United States of America instituted a day to celebrate Martin Luther King. And on that day, government will be putting budgets at the disposal of people who want to make a Martin Luther King film, a Martin Luther King play.
They are going to be visiting his library.
Visit his library and so on. Schools are organizing themselves to be able to go. Let me tell you, Mr. Kum, tomorrow, as I said, members of Standup for Cameroon will be in Bafoussam with other political parties to visit the tomb of Mr. N.S. Wanje. One of the political parties took it upon themselves, because we at Stand Up for Cameroon, we don't do things that way, but they took it upon themselves to go and declare this event. I don't see why I should declare to anybody that I'm going to the tomb of my it's not a rally. We're going to the tomb. Anyway, they took it upon themselves to go and declare. Guess what? The prefect has said that we cannot march to go from the street to the tomb, that we should only come to the tomb. You know, this is a regime which is afraid of its own shadow. So anytime you have any kind of manifestation of people, any type of gathering, they become scared. So the reason, to answer your question, that Cameroonians are not informed enough about these heroines and heroes, because there are a lot of women who have done amazing things in our history for this nation. The reason that Cameroonians are not aware is because our government has not made it a priority. We have an Avenue Charles de Gaulle here in Douala, I think so, right? Where is
Avenue Kennedy?
Yes, we have Avenue Kennedy. Where is Avenue Foncha? Where are the parks that are named after Marthe Moumier, that are named after Marthe Wanje, etc., etc.? It is a state. It's the responsibility of a state to capture history and to make it a part of the lives of the people. And Mr. Kum, that is what we call nation building. That is what we call having an identity. If we had a small statue somewhere that had Joa beside Foncha, beside Wanje, beside Umnyobe, then Cameroonian young people will learn that they were freedom fighters from all of the regions of Cameroon.
Yeah, maybe the Cameroon government does not yet consider them as freedom fighters.
Well, they have made them into national heroes on paper. I think they did a decree or something like that.
Yeah, but they're not yet celebrated.
Like most decrees,
we hope that the day
it's still waiting for implementation.
Yeah, Madam, I want us to talk about the recent killings in the northwest and southwest region. I talked already about what happened in Momo, what happened in Santa and in Jian Division and Fako Division in Mautu. Precisely how did the CPP and Standup for Cameroon receive this news?
Very badly. Very, very badly. Once again, I will talk to the people of my village, because Matazam is the corner leading to Pinin. And this is the second time that we have had a major massacre in Pinin. You remember the massacre that was in Pinin itself. So people are very, very traumatized. We received it badly because we had hoped, beginning in this new year, that we would see some easing of the tensions and especially of the violence. We realized that on both parts, because the killings have been, the armed groups have carried out atrocities and the army has carried out atrocities.
Just to know that yesterday there was an attack in Nimbe.
Yes, in my four. Yes.
Not my four, around the middle farms.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Some vehicles were burnt last night.
Yeah. And that is also extremely worrying because there have been a few safe havens in the northwest and southwest regions, a few places that for XYZ reason have not been so affected by the violence of the crisis, and Limbe has been one of them. In the last 5 years, there have been very few attacks in Limbe, and Limbe is actually a host city for the displaced. There are a lot of displaced who have found refuge in Limbe. So when we see these kinds of incidents, it's extremely worrying. I think several things are happening, Mr. Kum. We mentioned the war economy that has installed itself. On both sides of this crisis, people are making a lot of money by the continued violence. And this is where we were shouting and speaking and telling the government, don't get to this point. Don't get to this point, because when people have financial interest in something, it is very difficult to uproot that thing. So that is number one, is that on the government side right now, they have to analyze this war economy and
fish out those who are making gains.
Not only, it's systemic. So it's not just about individuals. If you just take out the individual, you put another individual and he will continue. You have to bring an end to the crisis and cut off the source. Because when the government of Cameroon is buying arms, somebody is going to buy those arms. And how they negotiate and so on and so forth, we know that, arms dealing is a very, very shady business everywhere in the world, and a lot of corruption is involved. When you are transferring cash from Yaoundé to soldiers at this level of the conflict, to soldiers here, to soldiers there, a lot of that cash is disappearing.
You need fuel to drive the engines
along the way. We have left now territories on the ground that are being controlled, some by armed groups and some by soldiers. Both are racketeering the population and making a lot of money from that racketeering that they are doing. So at this point in the game, these new incidences of violence tell us one thing: we have to sit up. If we thought, a lot of people, for some reason, they thought 2020 was a bad year. When 2020 finishes, everything will be finished. I think the message for us in 2021 is sit up, work harder, work smarter to be able to put an end to this crisis.
These attacks took place in January. We are saying
yes, we are still not even midway. The 15th is still tomorrow.
Yes. Is it a new strategy, or you think that there is something, a message that is being driven home on both sides?
I think that there are messages on both sides for sure. The impression that government is giving is that they have taken control of the situation, that the situation is more or less under control. It's very clear, not only in January, but I think also the attacks we saw in November were messages from the armed groups to say, no, we are still here. We're still here, and we are still able to carry out a very, very high levels of attacks, of violence. So those messages are there, but I think let's not focus so much on messages. The fundamental problem is the crisis. The fundamental problem. So let's not focus on one attack or the other attack. The fundamental problem is that we still have a crisis, and until we are on a path to resolution, which at this stage in time everybody should realize there is no overnight solution to this. We are not going to, snap our fingers and then the crisis will be over. Now, what we are fighting for is to get on a road, have a road map, and get on that road, because it's going to be a long, difficult road. So, and every day that we waste before getting on that road makes the road more difficult, makes it more complicated. So, the fight for all of us, and once again, don't wait. Don't wait and say, oh, what are the political leaders doing? Oh, what are the Anglophone elites doing? What are I
was going to ask you, Madam, what has been your reaction? What has been your action to the increased wave in this violence?
As I've mentioned to you,
you say sad.
As I've mentioned to you, we are in the process. We had decided before the attacks on re-strategizing.
Okay.
So we are in that process of re-strategizing, and we are inviting Cameroonians of all walks of life to reach out to us, to join us at the level of Standup for Cameroon, to come. We are not saying that you have to, if you are party X, that you will no longer be party X. You can stay in your party. We can work together to be able to find a solution to this crisis. We are not, if you are civil society and you don't want to join politics, we are not asking you to join politics. We are asking you to come. This is, the Anglophone crisis is a human rights crisis. It is a citizenship crisis. It has nothing to do with partisan politics. So we must all come together. As you know, we have reached out. One of the successes for us in 2020 was that we reached out to the religious bodies several times, and we were able for the first time to work together. We worked together very, very well in Garbu, with the Muslim leaders, with the Catholic leaders, with the Presbyterian leaders. We were all able to come together, and it is that pressure that forced the government to admit for the first time in our history that they had actually committed an atrocity, and for us to get to where we are today with a trial, even though the trial is
dancing.
It's dancing. Okay. It's not going very well, but it is that pressure that we put all of us together. So we must do that not only around an event. We should not wait for people to die before we carry out such activities. We need to be able to carry out activities together, jointly, regularly, and so that we can actually confront. One thing, lesson learned, because we are in that process. At the end of the year, we were doing a lot of evaluation, and we were doing a lot of rethinking of our strategy. And one thing we realize is that we are up against a system. The government is a system. When you hit it on the left, it hits back on the right, the center, the extreme right. So it's a system.
A system that has been there for long.
For very long. And we are working sporadically. This event happens, we come out. This other event happens, we come out. We also have to build a system.
Okay.
And building a system means working every day, doing a lot of work which is not flashy. It's not the work that you is in front of the media. It is behind closed doors, but doing the work such that you also as a system can confront that system that is in front of you.
Okay. The members of the CPDM government in Cameroon have wronged Cameroonians and fear the punishment awaiting them, because if they open up, they will be pushed aside. Pa Chanji is writing from Womb. Good evening to you, Pa Chanji. Glad to know that you guys are watching back there. Good evening, Mr. Liu. I'm Glory Ngala, writing from Douala. I give a big congratulations to Madam Kawala. If we could have 3 of them that could speak the truth like her, I believe we must have changed our country. Good evening to you, Glory. Good evening, Madam Kawala. Happy to see you with your new look. Yes, Madam, I am so frustrated because of this crisis. The other day, they took me. They took me 50,000 francs, which was my capital to do my business. Now I'm in the house doing nothing because I don't have money. Me and my children are suffering. Please do something for us. Thanks. Okay. Thank you very much. We pity the situation. Good evening, Mr. Leo. Warm regards to Madam Kawala, and I thank for her. Oops, stop the cars. Stop calling. When you call, I can't read the messages. But Madam, you were talking about what the Cameroon government is not doing right to resolving the problem. There is an economy that has installed.
Yes,
it's
a war economy,
and that is a population that is suffering. But my question to you is: do we need violence to pass a message?
Absolutely not. As we are evaluating, it's important for us to assess ourselves.
Yeah.
Those who opted for violence, because we were against violence from day one. And I can tell you that personally, I was against violence because I work in Congo, I work in Burundi, I work in Rwanda, I work in Uganda. I know what it means for groups to take up arms. It becomes an intractable situation, which is very, very, very difficult to resolve. And that is why from day one of this conflict, we said no to any form of violence. Those who took up violence, I think it is 5 years today. They need to assess themselves. Has the violence worked? Have we obtained anything? One thing that we have obtained as Anglophones thanks to that violence? Have we obtained anything at all? And what has been the cost to our own people? What has been the cost to, a lot of people don't realize it, but those young boys in the bush are victims. They are victims because they are being recruited and given guns on false pretexts. You ask if we talk to them, we meet with them and hear their stories. And most of the time you realize that they are being lied to. They are being led to believe some funny story about compensation that they are going to get, about what they are going to get in return, and it never comes. You realize that the population, you cannot say you are fighting for me, for my rights, and then you are terrorizing me. It cannot work. You cannot be my champion and my oppressor at the same time. It's impossible. The armed groups, we know everybody knows it now, but I can tell you that from day one, it is not something because people say, oh, this crisis has turned into something. And no, from day one, that aspect of oppressing the population has been present in those who decided to take up arms. And you cannot oppress a people and say that you are fighting for their rights. Okay. It is impossible.
So violence is no other
violence is not the answer. It never was and it never will be. And the faster that people put down arms, the more quickly we get to actually addressing the problem at hand.
Without violence, how do we get the problem solved?
Non-violence.
Yes.
Non-violent action is simple. It is sit-ins. I always tell people, look at people who started after us. Look at South Sudan. Sorry, not South Sudan. Sudan. With Bashir. Yes? Bashir, they started in 2017. Where is Bashir today? He's somewhere in prison. The Sudanese are busy addressing their real problems of how do we build a nation. Look at the Burkinabe with Compaoré. Where is Compaoré today? Did they take up guns? I tell people that look at what is happening in the rest of the African continent, and you realize that those who have been able to get rid of dictators are those who have used non-violence effectively. From Tunisia to Burkina to Algeria to Sudan, people all around us are using non-violence. It's not a miracle. It is a matter of numbers. Coming out in our numbers to do a sit-in. Coming out in our numbers to do a march. Coming out in our numbers on Friday in black. These are the tactics that have been used elsewhere successfully. And those tactics simply demand that Cameroonians decide. I ask every Cameroonian, don't worry about what Mr. Kum is doing, what Kawala is doing. What are you doing? And I am not asking you to do the same thing that I am doing. If your level is to be able to wear black on Friday, wear it. If your level is that, no, I can go a bit further, I can participate in a non-violent demonstration, then join us, because participating in a non-violent demonstration needs training, needs organization, needs coordination. You don't remain in your house and you say, oh, why are people not marching? Oh, why are people have not gone to the street? You must come to the meetings. You must come and be a part of those who are organizing and structuring things.
Okay. Good evening, Mr. Liu and everyone in the studio. I'm Mukete George from Kumba. I think the government should call for a more organized dialogue in a neutral ground in the presence of an international mediator to amicably discuss ways of putting an end to this 4-year-old Anglophone conflict. Okay. Good evening to you, Madam Kawala. She got your message. Please stop calling. When you call, I can't read. Okay. They have just started vaccines this way, with some of my colleagues being vaccinated today for the coronavirus. Okay. Paul Ngoe is writing from the United Arab Emirates. Good evening to you, my brother. Good evening. Good evening. I'm proud of my media prime. Let me say kudos to my senior sister, Madam Kawala. Keep up doing the good work, Mama, for sooner or later the crisis will come to an end. The government is just playing overtime. It's Mr. Martin Akum Penye of Mukete Road, Kumba Town, and Jebe, adjacent to the family house of Madam Kawala. Okay, you should know. Say, keep up the good work, my media prime. Thank you too. Hey, Madam Kawala, where are you with your negotiation or with the CRM? This person is writing from the United States of America. Hello, Mr. Liu and the Leonard Kawala. My question is directed to her, please. What political reforms are needed in Cameroon? Don't you think in the 21st century we ought to have at most 3 visionary political parties, would you buy that idea in such a way it won't be Madam Kawala or any other regular party leader having proprietary rights, selling almost individual ideas over a party, but the reverse? Collins, for Collins is writing from Kupe Mwanenguba. Kupe Mwanenguba, I don't know whether it's in Bangem or in Tombel. Good evening, Mr. Liu. I'm Glory. Okay. You say I love your program. I'm new here. Thank you very much, Glory. This one says, good evening. It's our from Bamenda, Madam Kawala, keeping the Ambazonian leaders in prisons and rather showing intention to reintegrate those who have laid down arms. The government believe that the leaders are those who radicalized those who took up arms. That's their justification for keeping them in prison. Okay, Chefo, writing from Amanda, says, good evening, Mr. Liu. Please ask Madam if her non-violent strategy will only work when violent strategy guns is laid down. Because if I look very well, I would say the guns is the concern of the government and not the non-violent one. Bill from Yaoundé. Okay, Bill, good evening to you. Good evening, Mr. Liu. Please kindly ask Madam Kawala to tell us how feasible is it to protest on the streets by a common man and go free. Enomulu Bath is writing from Bamenda. Madam, Happy New Year. We are not tired. We are with you. Madam Evanjo is writing from Bova. Good evening. When the country's independence was in 1960. Davison is writing from Moyuka. Good evening, Mr. Liu and Mommy Kawala. Mom, everybody can't come there to talk, but we are behind you, and God will hear our prayers as He did in the Bible to Esther. Esther is writing from Yaoundé. Good evening, Mr. Liu, and to you, Madam Kawala. I salute you for your advocacy. A problem in Cameroon cannot be solved by any other country but Cameroonians, just as Gaddafi in Libya said that every country in Africa should try and solve their problems by themselves. Prince Tower Edward is writing from Victoria, that is in Limbe. Good evening to you in the studio. Politicians like Kawala claim to know, okay, everything. United Nations, about the United Nations. How about the Sudan's? George is writing from Bamenda. The Sudan is in war. Good evening, Madam Ka. Thanks so much for the revelations. Anglophones need to hear this so we know the path to choose. The guns won't help us, but we need to come together as one people to bring down the regime. Chantal is writing from Muyuka. Good evening to you, Chantal. Thanks so much, Madam Kawala. Question, is independent a complete impossibility? Godwin is writing from Bamenda. Greetings to you, Mr. Liu, and to my role model, Madam Kawala. Doreen is writing from Douala. Good evening to Mr. Kum, and my regards to the Iron Lady, Madam Kawala, drawing from the recent experiences of the CRM's intention to protest against the regime. It means that any attempt for mass protest will meet resistance. Cleve Fofun writing from Bamenda. Mbunwe Redon can be watching from Ukraine. Good evening, sir. I appreciate the good work out there. Please help ask Madam Ka whether the Anglophone problem is a problem, is just the Anglophones or the Cameroons at large. Madam Ka, now we were talking about the violence, the non-violence. How does that, the approach used, how does it fit in the international agenda for an African country like Cameroon?
Before I get to your question, can I? There was a last question there where it fits in anyway, where he's asking whether is the Anglophone problem an Anglophone problem or is it a Cameroonian problem? And I believe that Chantal gave the answer. The Anglophone problem is, of course, a Cameroonian problem. It is a problem that affects Anglophones particularly, but it is a question about the definition of our nation. Who are we? The question that Anglophones put on the table once again, because they have put this question several times. The question they put on the table in 2016 is, who are we? Are we as Anglophones part and parcel of this nation on the same level as anybody else? Because you are giving us so many indications that we are not. So this is the question that is on the table, and it is for Cameroon and all Cameroonians to respond. I used to say at the beginning of this crisis, and I maintain that point, that the rest of Cameroon has a decision to make. Either we will get rid of Paul Biya and remain together as Anglophones and Francophones, or we keep Paul Biya, in which case the Anglophones will never be happy in this country. So the problem which is posed is a Cameroonian problem. And I think also that when we say Anglophone and Francophone, we have to look at the reality. Mr. Kum, you live here in Douala. What do we call Mabanda? Is it Anglophone or it's Francophone or what?
Or Biseke?
Yes. Are those Anglophone regions or they are Francophone regions? They are here inside the littoral. If there are neighborhoods in this Douala where if you go,
the entire Bonamusa is almost now.
You can only speak English, at best Pidgin. But if you are not conversant with those, you may have a difficult time getting along. This is also true for certain neighborhoods in Yaoundé. In Yaoundé also. So we must realize also that we tend to say Anglophone and Francophone as if there is a clear division somewhere. It's a very, very unclear division. If somebody actually gave us that independence today, if actually they said, okay, go for independence, believe you me, we'll spend the next 20 years fighting over who is an Anglophone. Because the question is, somebody whose parents are Anglophone, who is born in my younger brother is born in Yaoundé. He has never lived a day of his life in the Anglophone regions. Is he an Anglophone? You have Francophones who are born in the English-speaking region, who during this fight, some of them are more at the forefront of the fight than anybody else, but their parents are both Francophones. Are they Anglophones? What about the kids who have one Anglophone parent and one Francophone parent?
I'm sure I'm going to organize a debate.
Yes, that would be a very good debate. That would be a very good debate, and you will find that it's not so easy. So it is a Cameroonian problem, and as you were saying, how it fits into the international agenda. One of the questions which I find very embarrassing, and which is why I do not believe in separation. People ask us, so you want to define yourselves in 2021 by who colonized you? As an African, you are deciding to divide according to how the white man colonized you. Does that make sense to you? When we look at our history, why are we wanting to begin history in 1961? What about before? What about before the white man came? Who is closer in terms of culture? Is it a Douala man and a Bakweri man? Or is it the Bakweri man and a Bafuchu man? Where is the proximity in culture prior to white people coming to colonize us? Who is closer in culture?
Is it the Bamum and the Banso person?
The Bamum and the Banso person? Or it is the Banso person and
The Bafo?
The Bafo man. Let us be serious also. Let's not take history only one part of ourselves. Yes, we are Anglophones and Francophones. It is a part of our history. It's an accident of history because we did not choose any of that. It was imposed upon us. But now, do we ignore all the other aspects of our identity? So this really, we get asked this question a lot by other Africans we have other African countries who are scandalized that we are killing ourselves over a colonial heritage.
Mm-hmm. That's the language.
Yes. And the heritage, the culture, it is more than a language, but still it is a colonial one.
The English subsystem of education.
Yes,
and the common law system.
Exactly. Yeah. So those things, but those things do not belong to us. We did not develop them. They were imposed upon us by force with violence. So are we saying that they are so important that what predates that? The proximity, as you say, the Banso and the Bamum trace their root back to a common ancestor.
They're two brothers,
right? So, how are we going to now create a country between the two of them and say that no, you are in this country, the other one is going to be in this other country?
Yeah, but we have the Ejagams. We have the Ejagams who are in Nigeria and in Cameroon.
Yes, but that again, those lines were drawn by the colonizer. The line of Cameroon and Nigeria was drawn by the colonizer. How well is it working for us? Do we now continue in those mistakes and draw more lines? So these are the questions we have to ask ourselves. And at the international level, as I say, the fact that Anglophones suffer discrimination is something that is understood. Mm-hmm. The fact that we must reorganize the state completely differently so that everybody in the country has the equal rights, has equal access to resources. These are things which people understand very clearly and they are willing to work with us on them. The fact that we want to use violence, we immediately lose a lot of attention because people do not believe that violence is the way to go from the experience of what we see in so many other places around the world. There's somebody there in the messages who said, oh, but he feels that it is the guns that have the attention of the government. My question to him is, what attention? Yes, the guns have the attention of the government, but what attention? The attention that government has given to the guns is to bring out bigger and better guns, more and more guns. So do we feel that that is taking us forward? The fact that Ambas will attack one or two soldiers and then soldiers come and attack entire villages, is this what we feel is going to give us a solution to this problem? And what will be left? At a certain point in time, you have to ask yourself, you say you are fighting for something, but if you entirely destroy what is existing, then what are you fighting for? Because we must realize today that even if the conflict were to stop today, and that tomorrow we say, let's start to rebuild, it is going to take us decades to build back our economy, to recuperate this lost generation, because we have a lost generation now with 4 or 5 years out of school. To those kids, I always ask people, those who are proponents of violence, because you have proponents of violence on the side of Ambazonia, you have proponents of violence on the side of government. And I always ask them, what are you going to do with these young men whom you have taught to kill? Do people think about that? That young man into whose hands you are giving a gun, and that when he cuts the head off a soldier, you are cheering on the internet, say, yes, we have got them. And then on the government side, when they invade an amber camp, you see people cheering. those young men, they are very young on both sides. I go to the field. You see some of them, you even get taken aback because you are not sure, is this gentleman 18 years old? He's so young, looks so young. Now, he is 18. We stop the war. In 2 years' time, he will be 20. He's coming to marry your daughter, Mr. Kum. Are you willing to give your daughter? He's coming to be your neighbor. Are you okay when you know that this is the man who cut the head off that gendarme? Are you giving your daughter? Are you going to be okay that he's going to be your neighbor? Because when you are cheering on for people to commit violence and to kill, to learn how to kill, as a society, we have to be asking ourselves, what will we do with these people after?
Yeah, very difficult questions there, Madam. We are already at the end of our program. I think that there is need for us to organize a debate to actually understand who an Anglophone is. I pray that next week God gives us grace to organize it. Will you be there? You're traveling.
Yes, within the country. But let's be in touch, and we'll be very willing to participate in that. Mr. Kum, I do want to give phone number we always get the question for the number.
Okay.
So for those who want to join us at Stand Up for Cameroon and to build up the system to fight back non-violently, the number is 657 87 1158. 657 87 1158. Give us a call. Please, there was even a request for that. We understand that people have individual problems. The reality is that we cannot solve the individual problems. So this number is for those who are willing to engage into the non-violent fight.
Okay, please, if you want to talk to Madam Ka, if you do not get her number, just write to me after the show on WhatsApp, please. Because when I say a request for numbers, people send SMS. It will be difficult for me to respond. Just ask for Madam Ka's number on WhatsApp, and I'm going to send it to you after this program. The campaign for the release is on. The campaign for the release is on.
Please be in black every Friday for the prisoners. Please help us to, we are putting their, as you have said, we are putting their pictures on social media. We are reminding people, please spread the word so that we remember those who are in prison unjustly. And please, just be listening, because we are going to be asking you for action in the coming weeks.
Non-violent action, sir.
Non-violent.
Okay.
Always non-violent.
Okay.
Non-violent from day one to until we solve the crisis.
Okay.
Non-violent.
Okay, thank you, most of you. Fukeng, Prince, good evening to you. Mary, Baba, good evening to you. Nkai, Abadayan, to you. Fukeng, Prince, good evening to you. Stephen Asongani, Paul Zan, Puka Medi, good evening to you. Stephen Asongani, Susumutu, Ernest Mundi, Beta, my brother who is watching from Germany, good evening to you. Kenneth Chi, Beto Gimenez, good evening to you. Lem, Mercy, good evening to all of you who watch on social media, and many of you watch from your respective homes across the nation. We say thank you. If you want to talk to Madam Ka, just request her number after this program. I'm going to forward the number to you. We also want to say thank you to the production team, Eli, Desmond, and to you, Noel, and Bertrand working at the broadcasting, and to you, Tabi Tambe Bryant. We say thank you to all of you who watched the program today. Stay blessed. Bye-bye.